I am a person that's riddled with self-doubt. No matter how confident I do appear, I always say always. I don't know why I get so. I like talking to people and having conversations. I don't understand how to utilize the gift that I've been given because of my own self-doubt. I constantly go through ups and downs all of the fucking time. And it's distractions and it's lack of commitment. It's all the obvious answers that we get told all the time, just refuse to do. Even now, there's 1,000 things that could be happening, 1,000 things that I want to do, just don't. The action, there's like this delayed action step. And it's not a lack of information, a lack of knowledge. It's just pure lack of action. Trust in oneself. Because I carry these ideas that there are just people that are way better than me, or people don't care, and people don't want to hear it, and all old and washed up. But I know I got the information in there. I know that I have the value that people want, that people would like to hear, that can be helpful, that's impactful, that's beneficial, it's valuable. Don't have it. It's like fear of success is riddled through my body because I know I can. It's the loud voices of everyone else and even myself that, oh, you're not going to be able to do it, or it's not sustainable, you won't be able to maintain it, or you'll get good, the highs and lows, you failed every other time. And it works. It works on me. Paralysis by analysis, I've said that before. It's a daunting, just mentally draining task, and I am just so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Like it just completely confused on where happiness lies. I am happy, but like I am content. Desire, motivation, and good intentions doesn't always yield results. And it's tough. Being over 30, not having this established career the way I thought it would, separating from the career that I thought I'd spend 20 years in, being in the military. To get out and feel like there's just no way to replicate that. Knowing that I have all these strong leadership traits and skills, but I have no one to lead. And you lead by example, but I've gotten to a point where I've secluded myself so much that I don't want to go anywhere or do anything with anybody to create a team and set an example. And then because I'm fucking alone by myself all the time, it's like just freezing. I thrive in competition. You gotta be able to compete by yourself. Yeah, that's true. But fuck, I thrive in competition. I always want to I thrive in competition and social interaction with other individuals because even if I am doing better, the competitive side always makes me want to strive for better. Know yourself, seek self-improvement constantly. And with that, while I learn and succeed, all I want to do is help other people and show them how to do the same. Where does that come into play as far as mortgages go? I don't know. Is that it? I don't know. That's the hard part of it. I enjoyed the content creation. The marketing aspect, that's fun and all. Recording the video, it's not even like recording is fun and editing and this and that. It's the information shared that I actually am passionate about. But it's what to do with it. What to do with it. It's tough. It's very confusing. And I pray mentorship is definitely there. It is just the action within myself that had and the trust, very confidently insecure. But there's ways to make it happen. I'll find it. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm not gonna fall victim to just poo-poo. I've been there already. It's just a large struggle. And stubbornness will just keep me going, keep me trying the same shit, I guess. But that's... Boy, I don't know. I have no fucking clue. It is very tough. It is very, very tough. Being good and knowledgeable in a lot of things, but not knowing what to do with it whatsoever. But there is a way. There's an answer. It takes perseverance and persistence and a lot of faith. And we'll get there. Get there one way or the other. Not sure yet, but... It's annoying knowing all of the right answers, but just being stuck, feeling like you're stuck, like you're cemented to the ground because of all these goofy-ass decisions, self-inflicted wounds that have happened before that have destroyed my own self-confidence. And that's what people don't like to admit. It's so much easier to blame somebody else for all of your fucking problems rather than saying, like, well, you know what? This is my fault. I got myself here. And it's true, I got myself in these positions based off of just irresponsible decision-making before. Prioritizing other people's concerns that just have nothing to do with myself and letting that just slowly, toxically melt me away to a point where it's destroyed my own self-confidence and my abilities to complete things. You look at me in the military, there's just non-stop. I was always competing, next step, higher. Where I failed, fine, failed, can't do this, I'm just going to figure out something else to do next. Because there's always another step that you can take. And it's the same for the civilian side. But I was surrounded by the most alpha creatures on the face of this earth. You cannot... losing in the Marine Corps, it's not... You can't, we don't lose to other branches. We are the absolute best as Marines. So when you're competing amongst each other that's already at the top, you have no choice but to excel or die. And then when you get out, and it's the structure. The military structure is very important. But I will tell you, it's the camaraderie and competition. I don't give a fuck what anybody else says. The camaraderie and competition is the heart of the Marine Corps. Because you have the camaraderie and competition amongst your peers. And that will breed, it just breeds excellence. Because you force everyone around you to level up, especially being in snipers. Being in snipers, it's a volunteer aspect. You're there because you passed a tryout, great, and you gotta hold and maintain your position there. And if you are not performing, you're not excelling, you're not improving, you just don't stay. And so everyone is constantly everyone is forward progressive within snipers, and Marine Corps as well. But I think it comes down to leadership as well, because when you're a leader, you have to set the example. When you're a leader, you have to set the example. And I feel like I feel like I was bred to be a leader. I have a lot of the traits, the qualities, desires. I love being able to build other people. And that is what I did in the Marine Corps. Students, when I was an instructor teaching Navy corpsmen, and then just all of my Marines that I've ever been in charge of, those were the things that gave me strength and power. And then you come out to the sales industry, which is not a whole lot different. It's same ideas. And you are off on your own. And then with COVID, there's so many places that have just kind of scattered. They spider web, and it creates a bit of isolation. And for those that are good with that are they're sole operators, I love that. I like to do that in certain aspects, but I feel like with my career I have to be around people, or at least be involved with people day to day, to where I'm improving, I'm building. I like to hopefully influence. I'm just adding value. That's why I like to do these videos. There's value proposition that's added, I hope, because I know I'm not the only one, and what I'm saying is not uncommon whatsoever, and it's probably more common than not because so many people are victims of their own mind. But I try to stay ahead of it. I try to be aware of it so that I can get ahead of it. And it gets extremely overwhelming. It gets very overwhelming a lot of times. I mean, fuck, I'll sit and just have a complete mental breakdown. The other day I just screamed in my car to myself, asking God, like, honestly begging him, just stop, please stop, please stop, please. I just literally screamed that. Like, felt like Job, for anyone that's literate with stories of the Bible, but just fucking scream. That's what all it feels like. It does. It really and truly feels like I am just getting my fucking ass beat in every aspect of my life. And that, if people hear that, that's probably a huge shock. Because, Nathan, you're doing so good and blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, because I handle it. Right? My life's motto is fucking figure it out. I did that on my own. You just figure it the fuck out every time. It's what you do as a man, especially as a leader, and then more importantly as a leader, you can't let those that are looking up to you see you fall. See the stress. Like, you gotta be invincible in a lot of ways. You have to be human as well. That doesn't mean that you're just always a hard asshole. But for like, as a father, your kids, as a father, like, you need to be invincible. You gotta be invincible. And because they have to know that you're their rock, you're their security. So even, I've learned that even with my kids, like, you go out, you put the fucking smile on, you deal with it, and you figure out how to improve it or change it so that the situation doesn't stay the same. I have a lot of what I feel are special circumstances that have happened with me in my life that have just been damning. I mean, I don't ever want to say, like, oh, it's not fair. There's a couple things that just seem completely unfair. However, again, like I've said before, when it boils down to it, there's a sense of accountability that must be taken. I can't say it's anyone else's fault other than my own, because that's the truth. These shit situations I'm in, if you backtrack them, a lot of it does seem out of my control, but when you backtrack it to the center of where it started, like where the seedling sprouted at, it's my doing. It's my doing. Poor decision making all around. People don't like to admit, one, that they're wrong and that they are the victim of their own circumstance and decision making. I absolutely am. I'm so hyper aware of myself. You have to be. Because I don't want to stay in the positions that I'm in. I know that there is a much greater life that is sitting there just right here, just waiting. Right fucking there. I think I refer to myself as like a stock. I feel like I'm a heavily undervalued, heavily shorted stock, right? And the example, to continue the example, not undervalued, like, oh, like no one sees the value in you. I have a lot of people that see the value in me. I'm undervalued to myself, so my price is fucking low. And I'm heavily shorted in a stock sense, meaning when you short a stock, you bet against it. You bet against a stock, and that drags the price down. To force people to sell and hopefully drag them down even further until it collapses. Right? So think of being heavily short as just like pressure and stress. I'm under just an immense amount of pressure and stress from every fucking angle. And so is everyone else. Okay, but I'm just talking about myself right now. But what's very interesting with this analogy is when you have an undervalued stock that's heavily shorted, what can save it are buyers, are other people, are positivity, right? What can save a stock that's about to just get fucking crushed and is heavily shorted is, again, we'll break it down to where when you short a stock, when you have all this pressure, it comes down, right? It'll come down, and then it'll start to consolidate for a while, right? It'll just kind of trade sideways. Again, where I feel like, when you feel like you're stagnant in life, and all this pressure is just collapsing on you. But what can happen with an undervalued, heavily shorted stock is one of two things. It can bust, or it will fucking pop. The way that it fails is by giving up. If everyone starts selling this stock, it goes further and further and further, and the negativity fucking wins until everyone has pulled all their money out, until you have completely collapsed. The pressure just literally collapsed you. The same with sellers and holders, investors of that stock. The investor is yourself as well, by the way. So if you let all the pressure get to you, then you're going to fall short. But on the other side, on a stock that is heavily shorted, what makes all the difference is when people see your value, and then they come and they start investing positivity. They bring it to you. Again, that's yourself. You start bringing in all these positive assets. For me, again, reading my Bible, daily devotion, speaking to other people about my faith, and just heavily leaning into God right now that's my positivity, as well as other people coming in and speaking and talking to me. And I'm not the only one going through this right now. As I talk to more people, a lot of people are dealing, men, women, all ages, doesn't really matter. A lot of people are dealing with these very difficult stresses right now, and me talking to them, I feel like I'm sharing their life. I was doing holistic therapy and was saying, like, you have your beam of light and all these other connectors, you got to cut them off. But I love giving off some of my energy to pump others up, and in return, it makes me feel better. It really does. Now, you can't crush yourself by trying to save everyone else, but that's not what I'm saying here. I'm talking about the experiences that I've had and how I feel like maybe that they might relate to what you're going through. And if we can talk about it and process this together, then we can both grow. And if nothing else, even if I don't get like a fucking eye-opening experience from talking to you, if our conversation you got anything out of, if our conversation had you press your brain just a little bit more to maybe think positive or think different to improve your life and circumstances around you, that's it. That's all I want. I feel as though I'm a large service to people. I just don't know what to fucking do with it in a proper structured way, right? But again, going back to the stock analogy, you start flooding buyers to this stock. You start flooding buyers. Buy in. And then what happens is that pressure that was holding you down, that short, all that stock shorting, right? That pressure was holding you down. As you bring in these positivity, as you bring in more buyers, what'll happen is that then puts pressure on anyone that's shorting the stock, right? You're putting buying pressure into those, you're putting positive pressure, a lot of it against the heavy negative pressure. And what happens is you see kind of like a slow increment. Boop. As more come in, you start feeding in. Small increment. Boop. Takes up a little bit more. And even though it's trying to get pulled down by short interest, right? That negativity, that positivity is just coming and it's popping it back up slowly. It might be slow. It might be really fucking slow and painful to watch, especially when you are trying and you're putting everything fucking in there. You're taking every aspect that you can think of, motivational videos, fucking devotionals. First, let me circle that back again, leaning on faith, whatever your faith is. For me, it's Christianity. But doing all of the positive things that you know and have heard in your entire life and actually implementing them, even when the pressure is fucking the heaviest it's ever been in your life, right? Because you're at a point. You're at this point. You will only go up or down. You'll only go up or down. But that slow incremental positivity level up, what that does is it starts putting pressure on the pressure. It starts putting pressure on the negativity. And again, in a short sense, in the stock sense, is when you provide all this positivity, all this buying power against this stock that has a lot of short interest, a lot of negativity with it, eventually whoever's shorting that stock has to do what's called covering their position. And all that negativity has to then get converted into positivity. They have to buy all of that short interest that they were betting against, and what that does is it blasts the stock through the fucking roof. So essentially, all of that positive pressure that you had to consistently and just stay with, consistently, on the uptick, but you have to feed it. You have to feed it, and you can't feed in to the negativity. Just again, stock-wise, you have to have buyers continuously coming in. And you can't sell. You can't sell just because life gets a little bit better. Okay, cool. That's again stock-wise. People are like, oh, make some money, pull out of it. Because when you celebrate too early or you think life's okay, what will happen is more people will come and start taking short interest on you. They're going to start hitting you with negativity. And even though you're like, oh, fucking dope, right up here. Negativity happened. What'd you do? You fucking failed. You sold off, and down it goes. Or you sit here, okay, 10% gain. I like that. All right, cool. 10% gain again. 2% gain, all right. And you might think like, fuck this, it's a slow turn and burn, but then after a month, I guess, you realize that you're up fucking 50%. You're up 50% in that. You're up 50% in your life. And now everyone has their eyeballs on you. Pressure increases. Harder, more short interest. Pressure increases. But now all that the pressure is on you, it also means everyone is looking at you in a positive way as well. I didn't plan that, but I guess that's just kind of, that's really what I feel like I'm at right now. I'm on that verge. I'm feeding buying power heavy. I'm feeding this shit. I'm feeding all these good things. And I do have eyes on me somewhat. I have a little bit of eyes on me. I'm actually on the slow uptick with my confusion of life as my speaking. I started doing this more over the last week, a little bit. Doesn't mean that I don't have my doubts, because that's how I started this whole thing, because I absolutely do have no clue what's going to happen with it. And it is scary, just like a stock. It's very scary. You can't predict the future. Because you might get news. You might get bad news. You might get bad news, and that can crush everything if it's allowed. You might have a self-inflicted wound. Which again, self-inflicted. As long as you stay on the right path and you keep feeding that good buying pressure, that good positive energy, again, just like a stock, your life, it's bound to have a pop. And then it just continues to grow from there. Because as it keeps going, that positive pressure, that negativity's got to cover it. It literally converts itself into positivity. So, it's the same. I don't really know what I'm doing with myself other than speaking, and maybe that is what it is. But I hope that analogy just came to mind. But I hope that resonates with someone. Because to me it makes perfect sense. So maybe you're a shorted stock, or and what's cool is people can learn from those experiences as well. And sometimes it might just take one good investor to come in and just take a real good buying position with you. But if you don't perform, again, the stock, the company, you don't perform, then they're going to pull their money out as well. And that's what's happened a lot. And so it's easy for short interest, short people want to come and short you, and bring in negative pressure. Easy to come along and take your ass down real quick. So I really, that's all I got. That's all I got. Way more than what I expected. So peace, everybody. And I don't know how to stop this.